So today we have a 2011 LML Duramax on the lift. We're going to be installing a 165 4G. This installation is going to be exactly the same for 2011 to 2014 DF-100, DF-165s, and FP-100s. The 150s and the 200s install exactly the same other than a draw straw, so you can still use this video for reference. So first things first, we're going to start by opening the box. Always we like to let you guys remember and note if the box is busted or opened, always check contents before installing it. Shoot us a phone call. We'll get you taken care of there. But also there's time sensitive materials in this box, that being the warranty card. We do ask that warranty card be sent in within 30 days of purchase. So we'll go ahead and get this opened up here. Alrighty, so first thing in the box here is going to be your install manual. We'll go ahead and cut this open real quick. So with this manual, this is where your warranty card will be. Also your free sticker. But this is the warranty card. We do have a video on how to fill this out. So you can reference that if need be, or you can submit this online. But do fill this out and send it in within 30 days of purchase for full warranty. Alrighty, then we're going to have our relayed wiring harness. We'll go into a little bit more detail on this here shortly. You'll have your 20 foot of black push lock hose. And then you're going to have your sub-assembly box. We'll open that up in a second. And then you'll have the air dog unit itself. So this, like I said, is the 165 4G. It's going to be the 4-bearing pump assembly with the fully adjustable regulator. We'll go ahead and get this sub-assembly box opened up here. In this box is going to be all the fittings and hardwares you need to install the unit. So this will be all the plastic quick connect fittings. These are J2044 style plastic quick connects, the same as OE's use. So this is how we connect to factory tank connections, things like that. And then the aluminum fittings needed for your air dog base. This truck will utilize a filler neck return tee. So this will go in line on the filler neck. We'll install that for you here in a little bit. A customer service O-ring kit. It just comes with one of every O-ring in the pump. So just in case you ever need it, we do send it. Throw it in the glove box. You may need it one day or something. So just so you have them. This will be your hardware kit. This is how you actually bolt the pump to the frame. On this unit, it does actually bolt to a standoff off the frame rail, but we'll show you that here shortly. Supplied zip ties, so you can zip tie your wiring harness and hoses out of the way, as well as the hose clamps for that filler neck tee. And then this unit does not use our sandwich plates. It only uses just the cradle bracket on this particular truck model. So this is the only bracketry you have. I know sometimes it's easily overlooked because it does fit tightly in the outer diameter of this sub-assembly box, but you will need this. So we're going to go ahead and get underneath the truck here and start with the install for you. Alrighty, so on this particular model truck, we actually connect right to the top of the factory fuel module. So it's going to be easier to go ahead and get this drive shaft pulled out of here just for room. So you're going to need an 11mm wrench. You're going to pull these 4 bolts off. We're going to get this thing slid out for you. Note what orientation the drive shaft was in when you take it out, because it says balance. So the balancing weight on this particular truck was towards the driver's side, so we'll note that. Also, be careful not to lose your U-joint caps, because if you lose needle bearings, you'll be putting a new U-joint in. So slip it up in the transfer case, pull it out of there. We're going to electrical tape these caps on just to make sure we don't lose anything for the customer. So on this particular application, like I said, we do not utilize the sandwich plates. It's going to mount where the fuel cooler would have been on the older year model trucks. So it's actually going to mount up in here on this side, but we're going to need to lay the holes out, and you're going to want to drill from this side. So we're going to get it all lined up here and then take our paint marker, mark for our holes. Now that we got these holes marked, we're going to actually take a smaller drill bit, drill a pilot hole, and then here at the end we're going to step this up to a 5/16 hole. Also, do note to have safety glasses on, guys, because this is going to be above your head, so definitely going to need it. We also have found that drilling it with a 1/4 inch impact driver with the Milwaukee impact bits does work very well. Our larger 5/16 hole, this is for clearance for your bolt. Alrighty, so now we're going to install the AirDog fittings into the base. So you're going to want to go ahead and remove these red plugs. And in your fitting bag, there's going to be 3 aluminum fittings. You're going to have 2 9/16 and 1 5/16 UNF. So the 9/16 will be the inlet and outlet on your pump. The smaller 5/16 UNF will be the return. We do recommend, since it is aluminum going into aluminum, that you oil these fittings. Also note that these are an O-ring seal, so you don't have to be super crazy on tightening these because you're relying on the O-ring to seal, not like a tapered MPT thread. So just a nice little snug there. We'll go ahead and get our return fitting. So you do have to be careful with this return fitting due to the small diameter. If you do tighten it too tight, you will break it. So be very careful. I recommend to go ahead and get it started by hand. Get it all the way tight. You can actually compress the O-rings with your hand. And then just take your 5/8 wrench and just give it a small snug. You're good to go. Alrighty, then we're going to do our outlet fitting. Or I'm sorry, our inlet fitting. It's another 9/16 UNF. And then our 3/4 inch wrench again. Get these nice and snugged up. Good to go. Alright, then we're going to mount after. So you've already seen that we've drilled the holes for the mounting of this cradle bracket. So now we're actually going to mount the pump in this cradle bracket and then mount the cradle bracket and pump assembly as one, as it is kind of limited on space. It's important to note the orientation of how the pump is, inlet and outlet before putting on the cradle bracket. So we went ahead and verified underneath the truck. So we're going to take our 1/4 inch bolts here. Try to get it to where you guys can see it a little bit better. And our lock washers and nuts. You're going to be a 7/16 socket for the nut and a 3/4 a 3/16 Allen wrench for your bolt. Sometimes it is a little bit easier to pull your fuel filter off when doing that. You're going to take your 3/16 Allen wrench, your 7/16 socket. We're going to get these snug down. We're going to go ahead and get this mounted on the vehicle. Go ahead and get the AirDog snuck up through here. Get your bolts started. It's a little bit tight quarters, but there is plenty of room to get this done. Mounting it here just basically cleans up your frame rail and also makes sure that there's never a chance that any road debris, anything like that, can ever come in contact with the AirDog unit, as it is completely shielded. Alright, so now you're going to need a 1/4 inch Allen wrench and a 1/2 inch wrench. So we're going to kind of cheat here and use the impact driver. Tighten this up. This is where we start beginning the assembly of lines. So first we're going to go ahead and build this suction line. On this truck, we're actually going to be able to utilize the factory tank connection and hook the AirDog directly up to the tank. So we're going to go ahead and lower this down a little bit so you guys can see up in there, and we're going to show you exactly what fitting we're talking about. Alrighty, so now that we're under the truck here, like I said, taking this drive shaft out makes this job a lot easier. But you'll notice there's going to be a larger diameter and a smaller diameter connection here. We're going to be connecting to this larger diameter fitting. You'll notice that you'll need to take a pick tool to release the clip. I'll try to do it right here for you guys on video. Alrighty, now that we got that disconnected, you'll be able to remove this fuel line. Try not to punch yourself in the face. Alrighty, and we got that disconnected. This is where your air dog suction is now going to be going. And then we're actually gonna follow this line down, and we're gonna disconnect it on the frame rail side, and on the other side of this hose is where your air dog outlet is gonna connect back to the factory steel line. Alrighty, so now we're gonna disconnect that factory line. This will become your air dog outlet. Fittings work is you're gonna remove this red safety clip. So you'll peel up both sides of these, slide that up, and then there's a gray lock tab on the bottom that you'll pull down. And once you do that, you will be able to remove that factory line. Do have a bucket ready because there should be some residual fuel in that line. Factory line out of its holder, you just pull up, and then you're gonna wanna fish this line out. Once that's snaked out, we're gonna start connecting the air dog lines. So again, the air dog suction is gonna go to that module that we just disconnected from, and the air dog outlet is gonna go back to that factory steel line that we also just disconnected from. Alrighty, so now we're gonna start the assembly of our suction hose. You're gonna use the 11.8 millimeter straight quick connect fitting. You'll notice that it will have a red dot on it and will be shaped different than your 1/2 inch quick connect fittings. A 1/2 inch will connect, but you will have a suction leak and you will have issues. So do make sure that you're using the one with the red dot, and it's more of a square shape than a round shape. So you're gonna need to oil the inside diameter of your hose. This is a requirement, as well as your plastic fitting. You're gonna wanna kind of spin that around, get it all worked around in there. And then it's easiest in one motion just to press down like a hard tabletop, all in one smooth motion, and sink all barbs. If you do not oil the hose or the fitting, this will become very difficult. So do make sure to oil it. So we're gonna go ahead and get this all kind of snaked through on the top of the tank, and then we'll get it cut and make the other connection or press in the other fitting on the suction hose. Alrighty, we're gonna go ahead and get this fished up over top of this cross member. Sometimes it's easier to go ahead and press one fitting in with the complete hose, since this is cut to length. So just to make sure you guys have plenty of room for the hose. So as you guys can see, this is gonna be that 11.8 millimeter quick connect. This is the red dot 11.8 millimeter fitting. We're gonna go ahead and connect that right on top of the factory fuel module. We'll get this ran back down here. And as you guys can see, we already got it pretty close here. We're gonna go ahead and get this hose cut, get the fitting pressed in, and get it clipped onto your air dog suction. I'm gonna get this hose trimmed to length. We're gonna be using a 90 on this connection, so keep that in mind. This hose back over this cross member. I'm gonna do this one-handed, I'm sorry guys. And then we're gonna go ahead and get that 90-degree fitting pressed in. Same procedure, oil the inside diameter of your hose, oil your fitting, all one swift motion, push it in. And get it clipped on to the actual air dog. So we're gonna start the assembly of our air dog outlet. You're gonna have a straight connection that connects out to your factory steel line. So a little bit easier to go ahead and just get this done on the table before we're underneath the truck. So get that oiled up. Oil up your fitting. Same thing guys, one swift motion. Kind of spin it around and lube it up. As long as it's lubed, and you guys can see here, it's really not that difficult to get those pressed off. Alrighty, and then you guys are gonna wanna make a nice clean bend. This customer already did have some pre-installed rock lights, so disregard the wiring. But we're gonna get this cut to length, and then you're gonna have a 90 on your air dog pump. So we'll kind of go ahead and get this cut, get that pressed in, get that connected. Alrighty, so now that we got the air dog outlet assembled, we're gonna start building the return line. And then when we finish up here, we're gonna kind of zip tie some things up, get the routing a little cleaner. There's gonna be directional arrows for your filler neck tee. That's because there is actually a little diverter flap to make sure that you don't have any overflow out of your filler neck. So make sure that you have that oriented the correct way. You're gonna wanna oil this return tee on both sides. You're also gonna wanna have your clamp ready to go. We'll go ahead and put it on both sides of the filler neck so we don't forget. Get that pressed in. Get this other side of the filler neck tee popped up in there. Get that oriented. Get our clamps up on there. And then we're gonna tighten them up. One thing to note is do not tighten these super tight. You don't want to crush this and have any fueling issues. Alrighty, we're gonna begin the assembly process of your AirDog return. You're gonna have the 3/8 90. Same deal, guys. Oil the fitting, oil the hose, we'll get it pressed in there. Now that we got this kind of routed up here along the top of the frame rail, we're gonna get this cut to length, press in the other fitting, and get it connected on our filler neck return tee. Alrighty, so now that we're finished up here, it'd be a good time to install your AirDog filters. So just to aid with the priming sequence, if you would like, AirDogs are self-priming, so it's not really necessary, but you can tighten the water separator all the way tight. And then put the fuel filter on there mostly tight, maybe quarter turn loose. That'll give a chance for the air to escape out of the top of the fuel filter and prime the system. But like I said, being that it does remove the air, it is self-priming, it can go ahead and just prime itself. Alright, so this is our AirDog relayed harness. So obviously gonna have a relay, your fuse, which is gonna be a 20 amp fuse. The things you're gonna need to connect for this is gonna be your key on trigger. We're gonna tap into a fuse box fuse for this to signal the AirDog to turn on. We'll show you here a little bit more in a second. You're gonna have a positive and negative that are gonna go to, on this vehicle, we're actually gonna take it to the alternator because it is the easiest place to connect it. Then you're gonna have two connections. This is what's actually gonna connect to your AirDog. This is for the fuel pressure warning light as well as these spade terminals. So this is something that can be purchased additionally directly through us. Basically, if the fuel pump was to ever get below 5 PSI, it'll trigger a light, but it is an optional accessory. If the customer will not be using it, you can just tape these up out of the way and you're good to go. So we had a good location here where this factory ground strap was to mount our relay. We're gonna be needing the positive and negative terminals. Like I said earlier, kind of just show you guys here real quick. On this specific vehicle, it's a lot easier to actually go to the positive terminal on the alternator, and then you can ground to the alternator chassis. Just a lot easier. Sometimes these Chevys have weird battery terminals. Not so much on the later years, but the earlier years, so it's a lot easier to go to the alternator. Now we're gonna need to install our AirDog fuse tap. So what this is gonna do is whenever the key is turned on, our ignition power is on, it will trigger the AirDog, let the pump run. So on this particular vehicle, it does have remote start. So it's very important that we find a fuse that is powered when the vehicle is remote started. HVAC ignition is normally your best bet because when you remote start the vehicle, it's actually gonna go ahead and get your AC and heat working for you. So we're gonna go ahead and find that and get that tapped. Alrighty, so once you locate the fuse you would like to tap, you need to go ahead and remove that fuse and install it back into this add-a-link fuse tap. So retain the factory circuit as well as add the AirDog circuit. Then we're gonna install it back in the same location that the factory fuse was in. So now we're getting the AirDog wiring routed along the frame rail, making sure we're missing all important components or drive shaft or anything like that. So we just got this shortened up here, trim our zip ties off, get it connected, put the drive shaft back in, and we're rolling. Alrighty, so we got this drive shaft back installed. We also, like we mentioned earlier, the balance weight towards the driver's side. We're gonna get the U-joint straps put back in, and we're good. Alrighty, so we just got her all buttoned up, gonna get it on the ground, turn the key on a few times, cycle it, make sure the AirDog's primed.